Wicked Witches. We just did a lovely Venus infuse, hence the harem beautifulness, full moon Libra ceremony at Joni's house in Guernsey, and it's been delightful. And we had lots of lovely ladies, and we pampered ourselves, and we did egg magic, which I love doing. Egg magic's very powerful, I find, especially at this time of year. And yeah, we're in Ostara, the spring equinox, and it's Libra full moon, which is a lunar eclipse, a full lunar eclipse. And then in 2 weeks' time, we've got the Aries dark moon, that's a full solar eclipse. And so that's powerful when it's full. Also, they're not normally as close to the equinox as we are now. This is Nico. This is darling Nico. Come on, Nico. You gonna come and join in? And then we've got a Mercury retrograde about to start as well. So there's a lot going on, and it's very volatile. And Aries energy is very volatile. It's fiery. It's probably the most fiery of the signs. It's the Emperor. It's Mars. It's very fiery. So a lot of stuff's going to be coming up at the moment, and a lot of stuff's going to be triggering. And if you are aware of it, and kind of, we were just talking about it in the ceremony, that it's more like, if you treat it like a science experiment where you're observing it from afar and kind of like making notes and being kind of curious and interested in the people who return from your past, the things that trigger you, the energy levels you've got, the repeated patterns that are emerging, like anything that's happening in this period, it's worth observing. And also it's an 18-year cycle for it to get back round to this happening again. So last time Libra full moon lunar eclipse, full lunar eclipse happened was 1987. So whatever's coming up now, it's worth reflecting on what happened in 1987 if you happen to be alive then, that's going to have some relevance to it as well. So what was going on at that time? I'm going to look at what's going on sort of historically at that time as well, because I've got some things that I know happened when I was 8 that feel relevant. But I mean, I snogged my first boy when I was 8, and then this year I'm getting married, and it's all sort of Venus-y, so that doesn't feel like a bad thing. Like it feels like my sort of sexual life it's been that time period, which is interesting. It's only 18 years. It feels like longer. No, it can't be. It's not 18 years. That's not true. Hang on. Oh, I'll have to think about that, because I can't. I'm too tired now to be doing maths. It's gone midnight. Right, so I'm going to pull. Doesn't make sense. Anyway, maybe it was definitely 1987 that I was told was when, so maybe it's longer than 18 years. Anyway, joy. That's what I've just pulled for the middle. So collective joy. Which is interesting. Okay, so we've got the gift, spiritual gift, which is connection. So in the physical world, it's about working with your twin, the inner and the outer, but there's your inner and outer, that's your relationship, but this is about collectively. So seeing your enemy as your twin, realizing that we're one, it's not separate. So I always think of it like a being who's having a fight with it. There's like a being with millions of fingers with loads of finger puppets on, and he's entertaining himself by like doing this EastEnders type play where he's fighting and blah, 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 and then he stops every now and then and realizes that it's just a play and laughs, and that's the fool, and then he goes back to doing it again. Blah, blah, blah. And we are all one. So you and your enemies and all the dramas and all the things that are going on is just you, or you as in this entity, the great entity that we are. We're all individuals of part of this inner divine jewel. And this is the inner divine jewel entertaining itself. So finding joy in the process of it all, you know, what a privilege it is to be alive, and it's very temporary. So in the physical world, seeing that all these beings are your twin, being sensitive and brave in our communication. So this is the elk, Algaz, and this is the deer with the elk has antlers, and so you are protected. It's being protected in what you're saying, what you're doing, but it's because you're being sensitive. So it's about being thoughtful and sensitive about what you're saying, especially in this next 2 weeks where it's very volatile energy, that you're just being aware and you're being sensitive to what you're saying and doing, and not taking things personally and reacting, because it's not their fault, it's not your fault. It's energetically like a tinderbox right now. Abundance, and this is in fire, which it is. We're in Aries season, so we got fire coming out our asses. Like, it is, we've got all the fire we need. So in terms of will and just the energy, I mean, I couldn't sleep last night. I woke up every 2 hours and had to meditate for like 40 minutes to be able to go back to sleep again, and then slept for 2 hours and then woke up again. Like, this moon is high energy. So we've got all the energy that we can possibly want. And then it's my rune, which is Ing, and this is the rune of inspiration and transformation. So, and this is in the spiritual world. So this is an opportunity for absolute transformation, which it 100% is. So this whole Libra full moon, it's Aries season, it's Libra full moon, but we're in a Libra full moon axis, eclipse axis. Libra is about the scales, which is, justice and all that kind of thing. But there's the Egyptian god where you put your heart in one scale and then you put the feather in the other, and he weighs your heart, and your heart should be as light as a feather. So what's hanging heavy on your heart that can be removed and eradicated? And that is shutting the door, transforming, like as if you burst a balloon. You can never go back. Like, that balloon is burst, you will never be able to go back. And that's what this represents. It's the sperm popping the egg and making a baby, and your life will never be the same again. So, like, what is it you need to shed from your heart that will completely change your life and transform it so that it will never be the same again? So all of these is what has been coming up in the ceremony tonight. It's really interesting. These things always do keep coming up. I'll pull some cards for kind of clarifying. But the fact it's got joy in the middle, I feel like that's what kind of came out in the end of the ceremony, and what sort of summing up of it all was that, life is short, and that we should enjoy the mess. Yes, it's a mess. Yes, it's a process. Yes, it can be an absolute nightmare. But gosh, we don't get to be alive for very long, and then it's all over, and that's the end of that. So we have the Princess of Wands, very fiery, and that is someone who's just going with it, in the fire, in the mess. She's dancing with a tiger who's got his tail wrapped around her neck. She's naked. She's got a wand. She's burning, baby, and having a great old... She's just going with it. And that, I was actually talking about a friend of mine who was like, she's a mess and in process, but she's fine with it. She's just happy with it. She's not competitive or comparing or jealous. She's just cracking on with being a right old mess, and she does it really well, I think. Satiety. So this is also quite fiery looking. That is cups, and this is about being satiated, which I do feel is this thing of like not comparing and not competing and not feeling like you haven't got enough. Like, being satiated is feeling happy and full with what you've got and what's going on. And then the Knight of Cups. We pulled this the other day on my podcast. So this is very watery. This is the absolute opposite. And this is holding a cup with a Cancer sign in it, the crab. And he's got wings, and he's kind of very watery feeling. So all of it is about the inner world. So yes, we're going through processes, and it's difficult, and there's a lot of fire and everything at the moment. But we've got everything's a reflection of the inner world. So the inner world is watery and cooling, and it's the higher purpose is that we're doing all this stuff in the outer world, which is a reflection of the inner world. It's a sign language for the inner world, and it's all to lead you to your higher purpose. And that's what he's doing. He's lifting this cup up with the crab and lifting it up like that. It's about us doing this work for divine beauty, for the imagination, for creativity, for love, for connection, for community, for expression of our inner world in the outer world. So it's almost like he's kind of scooping it up and lifting it up. And so, yeah, everything that's happening, all the turmoil, all the EastEndersness of things is for a reason. And yeah, it's difficult and tragic and all the things, but it's not going to be for long. You got like 80, 90 years and then it's done. So enjoy it, and that's what the joy is in the middle. Like, make the most of it. So then I'll pull a card from the goddess as a little wink and a direction. That one wants to come out. Sovereign. And this came up as well. So this is the Emperor card, which is Aries. And so this is about being in your sovereignty. So the Libra vibe adjustment card, which is what the moon is about lightening your heart. So it's as light as a feather, justice, being fair. And then Aries, which is the other side of it, is standing in your power and your sovereignty, like feeling just and feeling powerful and feeling like honourable, and that you deserve to be heard and you deserve to have your opinion heard. So sovereignty is really important, because that's how we fight for like how people treat the land. Like, don't care if you've invented some law which means you're a landowner. If you're not looking after it, I'm from the land too. I didn't choose for this game to exist where you have some law that means you own it. If you're not looking after it, you're not taking care of it, I have just as much right as you to say, no, that's not okay. And we need to do that across the board with many things. And I feel like that's coming out a lot, and that's going to be coming out a lot in the next 20 years with the whole Aquarius era. Seek. And that feels very Libran, because it's about seeking the truth. Yeah, don't be afraid to seek the truth and seek your shadow and seek what's coming up. So whatever is happening in this season that we're in for the next 2 weeks with the eclipse season, and then Mercury retrograde as well beyond that, which is throughout April, and then whatever it was that was happening in 87, like, what is it that we're discovering? And be observant and be curious and not judgmental or beat yourself up for anything that's coming up, but see it all as a like interesting lesson in the process. And then last but not least, for the archetype goddess card. That one was the wrong way around, but I feel like that's what she wanted to come out. This is Mokos, fertile timing. I'll read out what it says about fertile timing. Mokosh is known as the supreme moist Mother Earth within Slavic mythology, fulfilling a great many roles for the people throughout Europe. She's a goddess of fertility and guardian of the fate of women, woven deeply into the customs of those who worship her. Mokosh sits before her loom to spin her thread and determine the future for all of creation. Sheep are her sacred animal, granting special favour towards anyone who shows them compassion. As a patron of fertility, her followers deem it taboo to strike the ground in any way during the spring months, for Mokosh is pregnant within the earth at this time. Spring. Mokosh weaves her thread of fate into your life to help you see the perfect fertile timing unfolding around you. The essence of spring has infused your endeavours with their blessings, giving you the ability to give birth to any project or creative undertaking with the desired results. Mokosh aspires you to see you succeed and will lend her guidance so you can remove your restrictions and manifest your masterpiece. Do you feel that you've become mired with maybe when thinking about your next big step? The instinct towards uncertainty is completely valid, but now is the perfect moment to take that pivotal leap forward with the right intention, and Mokosh is at your side. Your fertile timing has arrived. Couldn't be more perfect. It's spring. It's all about us shedding the shit so that we can move on, and that's why we just did the egg magic and why all of this stuff is relevant. So like observing what's happening to give you indications of like what to let go of, to move on, to move up to your higher self. Plant the seeds now for the things you want to create for the rest of the year. It is spring. It's perfect spring timing to be doing these things. And with that, go forth, spread your seeds, shed your shit, and have a lovely time.